month. You can access the meeting link right on our flyer. And we've added a QR code as well so that you can scan over the QR code and you can log on to our meeting session that way. Every session is recorded and posted on our YouTube channel. Our next session will be December 9th, where we will hear from our guidance and brace department to learn about diploma options and graduation requirements. This evening's agenda, we will hear from the Friendship Circle and learn about the programs that they offer. And then we will learn about JAVCO, and they will share information about their resources and programs and information. Our spotlight presenter this evening is Lisa Friedman Chavez from Project 10 Transition Education Network. She will dive deep into secondary planning for middle school students. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Miss Natalie Goodman from the Friendship Circle. Good evening, Natalie. You're on mute.
That's helpful. Sorry. Good evening, everyone. First of all, it's so nice to meet all of you virtual. I know that for a lot of us, this is a hectic time, so I appreciate all of you taking the time to come out. Friendship Circle provides three things. The first thing is social programs for children, teens, and adults with disabilities in our community. The second thing we provide is a life skills and job training program for transition years 18 and up. And the third thing we provide is an incredible support system for our families through our social programs, working with neighborhood partners such as JAFCO, to give our parents additional support at our events, including Mom's Night Out, and hopefully in the coming years, a Dad's Night Out too. So what I'd like to do is start this presentation with a small clip about an overview of our programs, and then I'm gonna give a brief description of all of our programs in real time and ask questions. Hopefully this is gonna show. Stacy, just give me a thumbs up that this is working because I still have it on share screen.
Okay, I'm here with you.
Okay. Yes or no?
Not yet, nope.
Hold on. Let's go back. Okay.
Okay, it's working, it's loading, and you're good.
There is an incredible gift that we all have in our lives that we take for granted, and that is the gift of friendship. That is really the pinpoint of what we try to do at Friendship Circle, that every child, no matter who they are, every adult, no matter who they are, has the amazing gift of friends by the time they walk out the doors. Whether it's teen scene, young adult circle, culinary club, friends at home, mom's night out, this is something they truly take home with them. This incredible gift of friendship.
I really enjoy the Friendship Circle. We do projects, we have parties, games. We have good time out there.
They have friends, they love each other.
They do yoga, they do dance.
Friendship Circle has impacted my life and my family's just by giving my son an outlet. He has a group of people that he belongs with, and he feels like he's found his tribe.
A really positive change for Blake and for our family.
I get a lot of fulfillment from all of my friends. They're my friends. Okay, they're not children, they're my friends.
We realized when we first started that there is a large sector of the community that we're forgotten about and not included within the rest. There's a real need out there, and we built the Life Skills and Job Training Program. It was right then and there. We opened the Friendship Grill so that our young adults with special needs get the opportunity, more than just a typical program, to actually practice life skills and job training skills, get to interact with customers, get to run the cash register, get to take inventory, get to clean, learn what it means to obtain a job.
The students are able to work in the cafe. For my son, it gives him a sense of pride that he's able to work in a real kitchen.
They learn how to navigate through life as adults. They clean the windows, they arrange the tables.
Our dream is that they walk out with a sense of purpose and a sense of pride in who they are, and realizing that they too have something to offer the community around them. And by the time our adults graduate and obtain all the skills needed, they're able to get great jobs and be able to show the world around them what they too can contribute.
When I was not a member of this program, I felt lonely almost always. I felt like I had no purpose. I felt like I had no drive. I had no reason to exist. This program means that much to me.
It just provides the best possible environment for our students to learn and grow.
This program makes my life better because I make friends.
Every morning when I come in, I feel excited and proud and happy. I want to tell all the volunteers thank you and everything that you do.
Seeing how their lives are changed, seeing the huge impact it has on them is worth everything.
So that's a 3-minute glimpse of some of what we do. When we started our programming, it was one program once a month. It was our director along with 2 families who had kids with disabilities. We have now built a program where we have 70 social programs a year. Our social programs include our culinary club, which meets once a month starting at age 6 and up. Our teen programs, which meet twice a month starting at age 10 and up and goes to age 20. Our adult program, which we call it our young adult program, starting at 18 up, meets twice a month on Thursday evenings. Our cheerleading club, which meets once a month on Mondays, and our music program, which meets every Friday from 11 to 12 for age 18 and up. On top of that, as I mentioned, we have our Mom's Night Out twice a year, and it's incredible to see what we didn't know would come. When we started our life skills and job training program, we opened a restaurant down in Fort Lauderdale, thinking that we would give employment opportunities to adults with disabilities in our community. And we quickly realized that in order to give them employment possibilities, we had to teach them those skills. And that's how our full-time life skills and job training program is formed. We now have 5 business partners in the Fort Lauderdale area that not only are students training by us, but also training in other facilities in the Fort Lauderdale area. Our program, which had 3 students when we started, will have 40 students by the end of this year. So I'm gonna throw up in the chat a link to sign up for more information, and I'll reach out to you. We do have 2 upcoming events that I know Anne is gonna share. First of all, we have our December Culinary Club. This is an absolutely free event, and all of our social programs are based on the model of 1-to-1 ratio of participant to volunteer. The second your child comes in, they're meted and greeted with a warm embrace and a friend, and that's going to be their buddy for the next hour and a half. And to watch these friendships literally blossom and make everyone shine. And we're not just changing the lives of your kids, it's our community volunteers and kids who might pass them in the halls in high school and not have a moment to create these relationships. To watch these incredible teen volunteers build these relationships, honestly, it's life-changing, and you'll see that when you come in. Our Culinary Club is December 7th this month. They're gonna be learning how to make chicken nuggets from scratch, so we know that this is gonna be a big hit. Everyone is gonna go home with holiday gifts. It is completely free, but you have to RSVP, and I know that we're getting close to capacity. We'd love to welcome as many families as possible. As long as we have physical space, then we're happy to welcome everyone. So I'm going to throw both things up in the chat to sign up for more information. And if anyone has any questions, they can post them in the chat. And as Stacy said, we'll have a Q&A at the end.
Thank you so much, Natalie. Families, please take advantage of these amazing programs. It's such a great opportunity for students to have that connection socially with their peers. We will also put all of this information into our parent Padlet, so you will be able to access all the resources from this evening in the Padlet right under the module titled this evening's section, which is secondary middle school planning or secondary planning for middle school. So you'll see that information there, but we'll also put JAVCO and the Friendship Circles information underneath agency resources so that you have it in both sections in case you have a difficult time locating it. Thank you, Natalie, for taking the time to present. I'm now going to introduce Lila Caro from JAVCO.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Lila. I oversee the community engagement and volunteers for JAVCO. For those of you that are not familiar with JAVCO, JAVCO provides life-saving support to children with development disabilities and for their families. We see anywhere from early childhood all the way to adulthood. We offer a program that focuses not only on clinical service, we also offer in community, life skills, social growth, and family support. JAVCO was created for family to raising kids with development disability, that they're never going to need to feel alone, that they always have support with them. We believe that each child deserves to learn, to grow, to belong, to find friends. We feel that every parent should find the right support, their community, and their hope. So in my role, I have the privilege to connect with families, to find the right programs for them, to help them build the independency and confidence for their child. So some of the programs that JAVCO offer are after-school programming. We have at 3:30 to 6:30, cooking, gardening, architecture, engineering, sport, and music, and so much more. So just if you will go to any other place for an after-school activity, we provide in a safe area in JAVCO. We also offer respite service. It's on Saturdays and Sundays. It's a full day program that, again, they come for a full programming day. They don't have any more that they're going to be bored. We're also offering an overnight stay. So your kids are welcome to stay with us in a safe environment. They have their own private room, private bedroom. We have a nurse with us 24/7, loving staff to take care of them, to really give you this one night or maybe a week off. So you can recharge yourself, and it's also great for them because they learn so much independence when they come, and just they're learning that they're capable of being on their own. One of the most favorite programs that a lot of our families love is that we're offering women's retreat. Every quarter, we're offering 40 moms to come for a day to recharge themselves. We start from a healthy breakfast to Tai Chi, yoga, sound healing, have motivational speaker. From there, we're going into a massage, facial, nails, aromatherapy, art therapy, really everything to lift up the energy. We provide childcare when we have that. We have monthly parents events. Just a few days, we just had a pastry chef in our house. We are about to have a comedy night with comedian coming over. So again, just with the fact that we want to bring this community together to find those friendships. We offering also SIB shops. This is a sibling shop. So for neurotypical siblings that have development disabilities, we don't want to forget them. So we have designated based on age that we offer them to come over to us. So we have the clinical team working with them in a fun way. Fridays are our teens night. So the teenagers, middle school, high schoolers are welcome to come over to socialize every Friday. We have a whole list of all our team nights. We have educational advocacy. So we have a lovely lady that take care of the IEP. She attending the meeting. She help you prepare ahead before. And we offering summer camps and gap camps. So when there's no school, JAVCO is always open. We also, our newest addition is our program for 18 over. It calls the Ability at Work. So I'm here tonight to share with you some information, as I know that this is such an important part of transitioning. So Ability to Work is a program that meant for kids that are 18 and over. Is a transition program to really help them to get used to get to work, clock in, get their job assignments, know to communicate with a supervisor, know to communicate with a peer, really help them to prepare. The way that we do it, so the way that we do it in a few ways. We have a little store on site that they get to take turns and who is running the store. And when they have the turn to run the little store, they're starting anywhere from putting all the snacks out to announce that they open, to take the payment, to take the inventory. When they come to JAFCO, we work with them as a group, and we also work with them as individual. The way that we do it with them is that we also have a program called the Wildflowers. The Wildflowers is a program that we are creating flowers out of recycled materials. We use newspaper, water bottles, old magazines, books, basically anything that we can find in the community. Our young adults are the one who making those flower arrangements that you can see right now. And on the weekend, we go for art festivals, community events, and we able to teach them those job skills in real life. So they learn those customer service skills, how to work in a team, how to run a job, how to take money, how to handle disappointment when someone say no, thank you, all of it in real life. So we found that this is like the best effective way to really prepare them. When they're ready, we also help them to build a resume, to prepare them for their interview, and really to try to help them with transition for employment. As I said, we work as a group, but we also work as individual. So when they come to JAFCO, they have a social time where they work all of them together. And they also have time that they work each one of them alone. Each one of them have his own portfolio that he will be able to take it with him. It will be anywhere from how to communicate with your supervisor, how to let your supervisor know that I'm not feeling well, or how to let your supervisor know that you want a different task or you're overwhelmed. So we work on really, really baby step until they're ready. When people ask me how long is a program, we really don't have a set time because each one of our ability to work come with a different ability. So we really do look at them as individual. The highlights of the program that we have there is that I will give it just we able to even take them all the way into public speaking. And this is our highlight of the program, is really how to present themselves, how to talk. They have a lot of opportunity when we go into events to present them, to share who they are, their story. It brings a lot of confidence, believing in themselves, and really help them transition into the next step. Our goals with this program is really to uplift them, find their individual, each one of them have an ability, and help them shine. So some of our ability to work, previously, if they show interest that one of them wanted to go work in a movie theater, this is where we go. So we reach out to the employers, we make those connections. So before they go even for the interview, the employer really knows everything about them. It's a beautiful program. It's a growing program. We're receiving lots of orders from the community, a lot of support. So definitely when they come to JAFCO, it's a real job experience. They're clocking in, they're clocking out. And they do get paid to work at an event. So this is their incentive to come to JAFCO. They're getting all those job skills, but also when they get to work, they actually get paid, and we help them to learn how to use the money in the right way.
Thank you so much, Lilac. I'm sorry if I was going a little fast through the slides. I was just trying to
You're
match.
a great helper.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the information. And families, we will also share the presentation in our Padlet as well. So you'll be able to have access to the information and review it on your own time. Now we're going to move on to our spotlight presenter, Miss Lisa Freeman Chavez.
Thank you so much for joining me today to learn a little bit more about secondary transition in middle school. My name is Lisa Friedman Chavez, and I am a Regional Transition Representative, RTR for short, with Project 10 Transition Education Network. And who exactly are we? We are an Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA funded state project. We are funded by the Florida Department of Education. And our whole purpose is to help support school districts, community providers, families, other stakeholders, anyone who is there to support students with disabilities to transition successfully from school to adulthood. And we do training, technical assistance, have lots and lots and lots of resources. I'm going to be sharing some of them with you today. And if you want more information after today, you can always reach out to me. I'll share my contact information at the end. But this is our website, Project 10, the number 10.info. It's our homepage. We have lots of different buckets with wonderful information. I'm going to be going to our publications momentarily, but wanted you to know a little bit more about our homepage. If you scroll down, there is our mission. We've had the same 4 initiatives since we first got started in 2009. And if you are interested in getting our emails, you're more than welcome to join our mailing list, which over there is how you would be doing that. So that being said, we are going to head up to publications, or you can actually go from here as well. But training and publications, scroll down to the publications tab. And voila. So here we go. And at the top of our publications page, we have 3 Padlets. One of the Padlets is all of our resources organized A to Z. Another one of our Padlets is will be our transition resources, kind of filtered specifically to those we feel would be relevant for families. And then the last Padlet is a Padlet with our Project 10 publications that have been translated into Spanish and Haitian Creole. And in the middle section of our publications webpage, you're going to see the title of the publication, a description, and whether or not that publication is available in Spanish or Haitian Creole, and the links will be there. Don't get too confused with the PDFs on the side. Those are still good. You can access them, but those are actually organized chronologically. So if you're curious to see what has recently been updated, you can check toward the bottom. So one of the main resources I'm going to be checking out today from our publications webpage, you can scroll down, is our middle school secondary planning trail map for families. But before I get there, I did want to mention we have another resource that is really helpful for students who are either preparing for the transition into middle school, or if their students are in middle school and also preparing in middle school for high school. So that other resource is here, our benchmarks for middle school secondary planning. And it actually kind of pulls in from another one of our publications, which is the predictors for positive post-school outcomes. There are 23 predictors to help our students, achieve post-school success. And these predictors are here described. There's a little icon that goes along with each one. And there you go, 23. Once you get to this next section, we are actually going to be using those icons as we start talking about different activities that will help support the student to transition successfully. So we have these benchmarks. That's what we're calling each one of these. And all of those benchmarks are going to be organized by different categories. So like this one is personal social development. So we have different activities. You can see the icons that correlate with the predictors of positive post-school outcomes. And then on the right side, we have a variety of resources that will help support those benchmarks in those categories. So just a couple examples, and I'll move on, but personal social development is here. There's academic planning. We have another one coming up, I think it's for community. Yep, community involvement, independent living. So this is another great resource. The one I'm going to be focusing on today is actually here, which is our middle school secondary planning trail map for families. And please note that there is another document which has resources that help support this publication. So you're going to see a few links within here, but that has way more, and that is also available on our publications webpage. And before we get started, I was going to mention, you can't see probably because my picture is so tiny, I have my little butterfly scarf on. Stacy, this one's for you, and the transition team probably can't see. Anyway, that is kind of the theme this year with Broward County Public Schools and their transition team, and I love it. I am a fan of butterflies anyway, but transition. Right? We're going to be talking all about secondary transition and how we can help support our students. So just wanted to share. Anyway, this is it, our middle school secondary planning trail map for families. Well, as we go through, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about some of the steps, tips, things to be, taking into consideration. And as I mentioned, I will also be referencing some other resources and publications throughout. But the way that this is set up, because hopefully you will take advantage and check this out afterward, it is publicly available. We have 4 different trail guides. So we have Ethan, who is a 5th grader, so 5th grader going into 6th grade. We have Mia, who is already in middle school, but just starting 6th grade. Zoe's in 7th grade, and then we have Levi, who is an 8th grader preparing for that transition into high school. So you're introduced in the beginning to them, and they will be throughout your journey as we go through right now. But it's good to know that it's really never too early to start planning for secondary transition. And once we start getting into some of the ages, I think you'll understand a little bit better as to why. So, and just, I did check this, that link is not currently working. There are a couple updates within our trail map that we have to do. So I apologize on that. Pacer Center, which is who offers that, they are still a wonderful organization, have many, many resources for families. That's just when we have to update that link. So just wanted to let you know about that. So starting with the transition, and you saw that we have some trail guides that are even coming in from 5th grade, right? Like Ethan. So there are things to think about during that transitional phase. So from the elementary school to middle school transition, there are some things that schools are going to be doing, and there are some things for the family and also for the student. So the school district and those schools are going to be sharing information about the student, right? So it's, sharing different files, sharing things about accommodations, the student's strengths, their preferences, things that will help in that transition, and really critical information. Also, a lot of times they'll have someone from the middle school participate in that final IEP meeting before they transition. It's not required, but that frequently does happen, or at least they might pop in, or there's somebody who will be identified as kind of like that contact person in the new school. A lot of times the middle schools do host different kinds of events to get folks more familiarized with the new school. And so make sure as a family, which actually goes on to this side, but for families and students, take advantage of those events, participate in them. So always be on the lookout. You can also start researching a little bit more. A lot of them have really cool websites. Some of them have social media. Just familiarize yourselves with, that new school. Also, going on to the right side for families and students. We already kind of talked about participate in any kind of event that you can, preparing them for that transition, feel more comfortable, get to know your school, the school personnel. Please do attend that final IEP meeting in elementary school. It's so important. They'll be talking about a lot of things related to that really big transition from elementary into middle. And here, so almost all of the elementary schools and, transition middle schools, for those middle schools, there usually is some type of an orientation night, something for the incoming students. Many of them have it, so be on the lookout. But if you feel that that is not enough, if you really feel, because those are busy, they're like a lot of people, right? A lot going on. So if you're feeling still a little hesitant, the student feels like they would like to get a little bit more familiar with the setting before the actual first day of school, by all means, talk with the school, see if there's a way that you can schedule a time when it's not so, busy, for them to get a little bit more acquainted with the school, like the layout, things like that. And again, attending the IEP meetings is so important. So last IEP meeting in elementary school, first IEP meeting in middle school, always, always, always encouraged to attend those. All meetings, truly, but those are really critical IEP meetings. So the middle school secondary planning trail map does have some think abouts. Ethan is the one that's going to be transitioning into middle school from elementary school. So some things that a student might be considering. And always keep in mind there's support, for the students as they do make this transition, because it's a big one. In a lot of cases, this is going to be a really, a big difference from even the environment. It's sometimes in elementary school, they have only a few teachers and it's, more contained. Whereas in middle school, they might have a different teacher for every single period. It's a bigger campus. So there are a lot of things that the IEP team have to be aware of, be working with that student so that they feel better prepared for that first day of school. And I like this final one, talk with my family or teachers about any concerns or questions I have about going to a new grade in a new school. So yeah, for sure. There's a lot to be considering. Social skills are also something that are really important. And I'm not going to go into this entire section, but this is something that IEP teams should be discussing. Parents, if you have some concerns, it's definitely bring it up, talk to your student about it. They can, bring it up as well. But these are just some different kinds of social skills to be thinking about that the IEP team can be considering. Maybe there is some kind of instruction that is needed before making that transition into middle school. And actually, just talking about social skills in general, that's something that at any, age level, grade level, you can be talking about with the IEP team. But it's really important because it affects so much, right, while they're in school. So gives you a little bit of tips, some guiding questions as well. So just, be aware that that section does exist for you. And for those of you who know me know that I am a major fan of self-determination. Project 10 actually has an entire training on self-determination and self-advocacy. We have a curriculum, it's optional. We always love it when school districts reach out to us for the training on it. But our Standing Up For Me Plus, it is a curriculum to actually help teach self-determination skills and help students be better prepared to actively and effectively participate in their IEP meetings. But we also have a self-determination and self-advocacy guide. And I have it up. I might just show you for one brief moment. But that being said, you have a little bit of an example with Mia and her self-determination skills. And she does have a new work experience, I'll say, helping out a neighbor, which is wonderful. So you can hear a little bit more about her, but all of these different activities that our students are participating in, that can really help boost their self-determination skills. And I'm also going to put the plug in about that because sometimes things are happening outside of the school day that maybe the school personnel aren't aware of. So that's something that families, that you and your students can definitely and please do share that information because there's lots of skill sets involved in some of these activities. So it helps the IEP team also, have a better, more comprehensive view of the student. And these are the elements of self-determination. We did not come up with this chart. I wish we could claim it, but we can't. It's from another great organization called I'm Determined. Their website is imdetermined.org. So you can find this there along with a whole bunch of other great resources. And there are 9 core elements of self-determination. And so when we talk about self-determination, I always like to ask people, do you know exactly what it is? And many people aren't 100% sure. A lot of them do mention about self-advocacy. That's considered a power component. but there are so many other elements like choice making and decision making. And these are things that families can start really, really young. Even, what the student wants to eat, what they want to wear, helping plan with recreational activities, things like that. That helps. Problem solving is huge. And as they get older, this is actually an area that businesses are saying it's a skill set that's lacking in a lot of the new employees. So we want to make sure that we are supporting our students so that they learn problem solving skills. We're not always, as soon as something goes awry, that we're there to solve it for them. We need to work with them so that they are also gaining skills that they'll have to help them in high school and, beyond in their adult life. With goal setting and attainment, I like to mention that our students with disabilities have actually an advantage over students without disabilities because they have an entire team that is helping them to learn how to set goals, the post-secondary goals, intermeasurable goals to help meet the post-secondary goals. Some of our students even have benchmarks. So this is really, for students with disabilities, an IEP team effort, but it's a skill set that will help them not only while they're still in the K through 12 school system, but with life beyond. Self-regulation for sure, and that can even involve behavioral for sure, but also like things such as executive functioning skills and organizational skills, planning. Yeah, well, we'll talk a little bit more. There's actually an example with one of the trail guides related to some of the self-regulation and executive functioning skills. Self-advocacy, like I said, power component, it's huge. We want to make sure that students are developing this at a young age, and not only developing it, but developing their self-advocacy skills in a way that's appropriate. And I think a little bit further down here, it actually has some suggestions for you all as families, if it's a family who's watching right now. And I think it's important to really know that sometimes our students are utilizing their self-advocacy skills, but sometimes it's in a way that, especially when they get older, it might get them like terminated from a job if it's not like appropriately using those self-advocacy skills. So we really do want to help them learn how to build those skills and build them appropriately, utilize them. Internal locus of control, self-efficacy, kind of related, I feel, but it's really helping our students have that internal sense that what they put their efforts into can make a change. If they speak up, people are going to listen. It can actually impact something. That can even be, at the IEP meeting that they're speaking up. So it's really important that they know that their efforts do make a difference. And a lot of times if students start disengaging, this is something that needs to be worked on a little bit more. And the final one is so important. I consider this a power component as well myself, but self-awareness. And that includes knowing your strengths, interests, abilities, needs, understanding about the disability. And this, I feel, gets even more and more important as they're getting closer to exiting the school system, because if they're going to be requesting accommodations in college or accommodations in work, they need to understand what their disability is. They need to understand about the accommodations and then have that other really important piece of self-advocacy to be able to ask for them. And also put one more plug for self-advocacy, even asking for help, which is a critical skill, that is part of self-advocating too, being able to ask for help and knowing who to ask for help as well. These are just some things for families to consider doing, but again, help your student understand his or her disability. Strategies are so important as well. I also like to make sure that, anybody who's working with that student, sometimes we're aware of how amazing they are and all of their strengths, but sometimes if you ask that student, what are you good at? It sometimes comes back, and even worse than that, I don't know, is I'm not good at anything. And we know there are so many strengths they have. We need to make sure that they understand how amazing they are and how many strengths that they do have. Like we talked about choice making, And you can also be role models, showing them, what kinds of self-determination skills you're currently using, and also the, setting goals with the goal attainment. Like I said, the IEP is one way, but there's so many other areas of their lives that they are going to be wanting to set goals. So this is something you can help them to accomplish. And I'm going to take a tiny, tiny detour to show you real quick our self-determination and self-advocacy guide. Again, this is on our publications webpage. It is available in Spanish and Haitian Creole. And I will also mention that I think all of the resources I'm going to mention today and so many more are available on the Transition Resources Padlet that Broward County Public Schools has created. It's fabulous. They have so many fantastic resources. But just, some basic information about what self-determination is. And then there's that beautiful chart again, the elements of self-determination chart. And one thing that I do really love, I think our, self-determination, self-advocacy guide is great, but it also has beginning here on page 4. Don't want to go too fast. It has some instructional ideas for teaching self-determination and self-advocacy skills. And anyone can be teaching some of these instructional strategies. And there are some examples, some ideas for each one of those 9 core elements. So I did want to just point that out, let you know that that's available. And going into the next trail marker number 4, the middle school course requirements and options. So let's start first with what are the requirements. Physical education is going to be required for 1 semester each year for students in grades 6 through 8. But for our students with disabilities, there are certain circumstances in which the IEP team could consider waiving that physical education requirement. There is also a requirement for a course in current education planning, and that course has to result in a personalized academic and career plan. The course can happen at any point in time, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and that plan can also happen at any point in time, but they have to have it at least by 8th grade before they transition from middle school into high school. We talk a little bit more about it a little further on, and just, that does not have to be a separate course. Schools are completely allowed to embed it within an already existing course. Sometimes it's embedded in a social studies course. There's also a requirement for 3 middle school or higher courses in English language arts, in math, in science, and in social studies. You see this asterisk over here, and that is telling you that it may include high school courses for credit. And we're going to have a little discussion about those high school for credits here. But before I get there, I just wanted to mention with social studies, there is a requirement to have one of these courses be civics. And that civics course has a statewide standardized end of course, which a lot of you have heard it before, EOC. These are our EOC exams, and that would be factored into that student's final grade. It's 30% of the student's final grade. However, just like we were talking about PE, the IEP team can also determine if that particular EOC, that state exam, is not going to be able to accurately measure the student's abilities, then the IEP team can make the decision to waive the results of that assessment, for the purpose of receiving a course grades. So just be aware that that is an option. So going back to those high school course credits, I'm not going to go into all of the pros and cons, but it really is an important discussion because on the surface, it sounds like, hey, that's awesome, right? They can start getting like high school credits now. Super. When you start earning high school credits in middle school, there's multiple benefits that can be happening later on in high school. They can start maybe doing dual enrollment, as they get closer to exiting the school system. That might even help them so they don't have to stay in college as long if they're planning on going to college. Maybe it'll allow them their senior year to do some on-the-job training, like they half day in school, half day working, lots of different options, right? So it can be a pretty awesome opportunity like that. But it also, and down here you can see a few more things, there could potentially be disadvantages. What if that student really isn't ready to fully take on these high school, the rigor of these high school courses? And if they're not fully ready, that can have some, potentially negative impact. if they are not able to, do well academically, they are now starting already their the GPA for high school. So they're already starting at a low GPA and they haven't even officially made it into freshman year yet. So that's something to take into consideration. Also, how the student is feeling. If they might feel extremely stressed out, they also have another full course load of other classes. So really thinking about where that student's at. Is this the best thing for the student, even though they are able to take it? What makes the most sense for the student, and have them involved in that discussion. So just be aware, there are pros, but there are some other potential negatives that it really is going to be an individualized discussion for that student. So a little bit more discussion there. And I do like this Black Diamond Trail tip a lot. Check prerequisite courses for specific high school programs to make sure that the middle school courses prepare the student for their educational and career goals. And in the next section, we're going to talk a little bit more about IEP requirements, planning, things like that. And this will play a big factor in that with the IEP meetings and for planning. So I won't go into too far detail. I love Zoe. She's made up, but I feel like I can relate to her. So Zoe does have a little bit of need, I will say, in the area of executive function. And so you can see here, and she's great. I mean, she's super smart, but there are some things. Loses track of time, remembering certain things, taking her homework, projects to school. But executive function is really important. And that is something that some of our students need a little bit more assistance in. And just like social skills, executive functioning skills, this is something that the student, the family, definitely, appropriate for an IEP team discussion. Maybe some goals need to be made around it. But just in case you don't know exactly what it is, but right here it says executive function skills are the mental processes that enable us to plan, focus attention, remember instructions, organize, and juggle multiple tasks successfully. And for this particular case study, for Zoe, and it's not uncommon. Sometimes the executive function skills, like it kicks up a notch when they make it into middle school, and even more when they're transitioning into high school. So if there are some concerns that are happening now, it's really important to start addressing them, talk about it. And there are there is another project. We are an IDA funded state project. Florida Diagnostic and Learning Resources System is also another one. They go by the acronym FIDLERS. Broward has a wonderful FIDLERS office, and they have started doing training on executive functioning skills. So, we are aware it's very important, and it will help them in school and beyond. So, you're all familiar with the Individual Education Plan, IEP. These are some things to know when you're starting to add transition components into the IEP. Those are happening at age 12 or 7th grade, whichever occurs first. And that's when it has to start. We'll talk about it. And then at age 14, or for that first day of high school, there are some additional kinds of transition activities that are going to be added in. One of the resources that is really helpful in understanding what these requirements are is our transition requirements checklist, which is right here. Also available on our Project 10 Publications webpage. And if you want to check it out, it's 4 pages long. It has all of the requirements beginning at age 12 all the way through 22. And you'd probably be most interested in the green, which is all of the requirements in the state of Florida. And anytime you see an age, that means it's required at that time. So what we're going to be talking about now, all of those are in there in the transition requirements checklist. And then you can also see, some additional requirements. These are just some of like the big areas. So beginning at age 12 or during 7th grade, families and students will receive detailed information about transition services and educational programs from the school, district, and outside agencies. Broward has a wonderful packet with the provision of information. Their transition resources Padlet is fabulous. And, so much information there that you can access. And I know in a previous presentation from this transition to adulthood planning, the TAP sessions, they do talk about it and share the Padlet. So just be aware that many resources are going to be discussed. They are also posted publicly, and so you can access that. And it's starting at age 12 or during 7th grade. It will continue until they exit the school system. Parents have to be notified that the purpose of the IEP meeting will include the identification of the student's need for transition services. It's the identification is starting at this time, and that will continue. The notification is happening at that time. Sorry, there will be notification continuing regarding the identification for the student's need for transition services. The notification will increase to include consideration of the student's measurable post-secondary goals once they do turn or get closer to age 14 and for preparing for entering high school. But yes, starting at age 12, it would include identification of their need for transition services. Student has to be invited to the meeting. So this is beginning age 12, 7th grade, whichever occurs first, and then every year thereafter. Anytime that transition services are going to be discussed, the student must be invited. We encourage strongly that they do attend, and there is no reason why they can't be invited prior to age 12. And we have other trainings related to helping prepare the student to attend, some considerations to make it an enjoyable experience for the student. And one thing I'll plug in there is that sometimes families don't realize it's not an all or nothing kind of thing, that students can participate for segments of the IEP meeting. They don't have to be there for the entire time. So that's something that you can work on together to figure out how they will participate. Also, we have begin identifying transition services needs of the student. So remember that here we're talking about the notification, and so you're actually are starting to identify. However, the provision of those transition services don't actually have to be put in place until age 14 or when they enter high school, and that will continue, and those transition services will help support their measurable post-secondary goals. And speaking of measurable post-secondary goals, there's discussion happening at this age, at age 12 or during 7th grade, whichever comes first. However, the actual goals have to be in place by age 14 or for that first day of high school. Those measurable post-secondary goals have to be it has to be based on age-appropriate transition assessment. Okay, so that's part one. And the areas that are required are training and or education, employment, long-term career goals, and independent living skills if appropriate. And once those measurable post-secondary goals are in place, annual measurable post-secondary goals will be put in place to help support the student to meet those measurable post-secondary goals, as well as the course of study. We already talked about the transition services. IEP teams will also be talking about pre-employment transition services, which I will get to momentarily. And you're also discussing graduation pathways and diploma designations. There are two. We have scholar diploma designation and industry scholar diploma designation. And you're discussing at age 12, or 7th grade. And the reason why you're discussing it at that time is so that you can be researching, get a better idea. And then at age 14, for that first day of high school, you actually have to document on the IEP whether or not they will be pursuing one of those diploma designations. And also you have to indicate which diploma pathway they will be pursuing. And I want to mention, you probably are already aware, but the school district will be having a TAP session on December 9th regarding diploma options and graduation requirements. And there are also many resources to support, provide more information, and IEP teams provide it. It's also on the Broward Transition Resources Padlet. There's a great section regarding diploma options. And we have a resource. The Department of Education has a great resource. So it's not that there's a lack of information. It's there. So I want you to know, don't be afraid that, they'll talk about it, but you also have things you can be looking at as well to get more information. And the last thing in this section is documenting the discussion of the process for a student with a disability who meets the requirement for a standard high school diploma to defer receipt of that standard high school diploma. More information about deferment is in our secondary transition roadmap for families. This is not happening at age 12. This is happening at age 14 or for that IP to be operational effect that first day of high school. But if you want more information about deferment, again, Your Broward Transition Resources Padlet is fantastic. They are going to have 2 deferment tabs, a deferment part 1, deferment part 2 on January 13th. It's part 1, February 10th is part 2. And the Padlet has 2 full columns about deferment. You know, you can look at the deferment options for the school district as well. So lots of information there for you. Early warning system, this is something school districts will be working on, but it's really important to understand, since most of you watching this will be families, that you play a really important part as well. And, you know, some of the things that help contribute to an early warning system, they'll be looking at things like attendance, behavior, and also course performance. So that's how they will, you know, kind of be keeping track, monitoring, you know, trying to find any students who might be at risk or who might be struggling. As far as attendance, this is something a lot of families, you know, don't realize always how many days the student is missing. And even if it's an excused absence, they are still missing instructional time. So, you know, scheduling those doctor's appointments and things like that, try to do it after school. Just be aware of the importance of them being there, getting the instruction, you know, for success. So just be aware, because we would love our students to stay in school. It helps them stay on track to be successful and eventually to graduate. We have a section here, tips for helping you help your student to succeed in school. Won't go into every single one of it, but a couple of things to point out. Talking to your student about the school successes, difficulties, keeping that open communication with them. We mentioned about problem solving. It's not something that you want to like swoop in and save the day all the time. We need to get our students involved, help them also, you know, boost up their problem solving skills. It's an important life skill. Also making sure you are communicating with the school, with the teachers, that you want to be notified, you know, immediately if there's any, you know, struggles that they're seeing related to the ABCs, attendance, behavior, coursework. And again, there is a massive support network for you. If your youth is struggling, seek help. And, you know, Stacy and her team, they're here for you, and it extends even beyond them, but you can start with them and they'll help, you know, connect if needed. We mentioned about the career education and planning course already. We know that they have to have a personalized academic and career plan. And that career plan and that course is for all students, not just students with disabilities. The school district is primarily, I think, using Zello. They'll correct me if I'm wrong. But I think they're primarily using Zello for this requirement. And that career and the academic and career plan, or education and career plan, that's something that will be going with them into high school, and they can continue updating it while they're in high school as well. But that's something that should also be in alignment with their measurable post-secondary goals. Things to keep in mind, just this career experience timeline, it is never too early to start getting like some career awareness. So even in elementary school, our students can start learning a little bit more about the different jobs that are out there, just getting an awareness, kind of to feel out their interest areas. I'm going to throw in there also about having high expectations, so that students are already thinking, yeah, once I finish school, I am going to be getting a job. But in middle school, there are things they can do, still continue with the career awareness, but also now starting to do more career exploration. And that's one of the things that Zello does help with. And that class, the career and education planning class, that will help them. And there's some other tips about high school and post school. Pre-employment transition services has to be discussed beginning at age, pre-employment transition services have to start being discussed at age 14. Vocational rehabilitation actually has to start being discussed at age 12, even though you can't actually get services from them until age 14. But this gives you a little bit more information about what pre-ETs are, those pre-employment transition services. This is a direct link to the form. There are 5 services through pre-employment transition services, so you can get more information about that. But they will be discussed at the IEP, and more VR information is on the Padlet that the school district has in place. Some information about career and technical education. There are 17 CTE career clusters. And remember, measurable post-secondary goals have to be in place by age 14 or for that first day of high school, right? CTE might be something that's involved in that. And remember that Black Diamond Trail tip about, prerequisites, things like that. If you're looking at like what is their end goal as far as, post school, it's important to kind of have that in mind, because there are some opportunities happening even their freshman year, different maybe a magnet program or career academy, early college program, things like that, that they really need to be aware of. There could be a CTE program that they can actually start taking some courses related to that beginning freshman year. So really important to have kind of an understanding of what options are. One resource that we have, it's alluded to within the middle school transition trail map, but is our post-secondary options at a glance. This is 2 pages, 1 pager front and back, and I'll just give you some things, food for thought, some options, including, we just talked about current technical education, but there are opportunities for college and university, even for students with intellectual disabilities. So you can look up a little bit more information on that, or apprenticeships, and military too. Some of our students might be considering that. So just be aware there's lots of options. And when we talked a lot about the transition from elementary into middle school, but keep in mind the transition from middle to high school is going to look very similar. Sharing of information, hopefully having somebody from high school attend that final IEP when they're in middle school. Please attend the IEP for that first one in high school as well. Trying to identify a point person in the new school, attend any kinds of transition fairs, orientations, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to look very similar, for that transition and the supports, things that you'll be looking out for. And again, if there are some concerns, please voice them. And if you feel that it's not enough, those large group orientation meetings and things like that, then, please let them know. Maybe they can arrange to have like a meeting at that school, a little tour to get familiar with it before the start of school, even over the summer, maybe. So just keep that in mind. So some things to consider. Many of them, like I said, very similar to the transition from elementary into middle school. And kind of getting close to wrapping up. I like this graphic here, and I'll tell you why I like it. But when you're planning for college career life readiness, and again, you know, it sounds like, oh my gosh, it's so far away, but it's not. When you're planning for this in middle school, it's going to help them be able to take advantage of some opportunities, take this course of study that will help them towards their measurable post-secondary goals. Like, it's a benefit. Can they change their mind? Sure. Their measurable post-secondary goal is going to be reviewed every single year at the IEP, every year, and it can change. There's no reason why it can't. It could even possibly change, mid-year. So that's fine. But everything else in that IEP, once those post-secondary goals are in place, are going to be helping that student to meet their post-secondary goals. So it's really helpful to have this idea, clear picture, as clear as you can, of what they want to do. But one of the reasons I like this, it's not just because it gives you an idea, visual of different options, but it also has these arrows going, both directions. Maybe they start in one post-secondary option and then they switch to another. Maybe they're going to start at the Florida college system, do 2 years, get their associates, and then transfer to a state university system. Maybe they start at a state university system and they decide, this is really not for me, this is not what I want, and maybe there's some kind of a current technical education program that is what they're passionate about. They've done the research, great earning potential, and so they, exit and they start doing a CTE program. Lots of different options, but ultimately we are helping our students prepare for a lifelong career. So, and it's a team effort, like I said. And actually on the transition resources Padlet for the school district, they have one that says, it takes it at the village. It really is a village. And you'll have contact information as well from Stacy's and her team, who the village people, not the band, transition team related. And these are just little extra pieces related to some of those possible outcomes for different options. And know that, this one, number 4, I always tell folks that celebrate the little things. I think sometimes people forget like all of these celebrations. So please, you know, make sure that things can get very stressful. I completely understand that, but celebrate the successes. No matter how small. You need that. The students need that. You are a superhero. You might not be wearing a cape, but you are a superhero. Make time to enjoy your kids, and that's important. They will be growing up. They always are. And at the bottom, um, and yes, I'm sure you saw number 3 too, that being a parent is hard. Being a parent to a child with extra needs, special needs, is extra hard. And there is support. There's support for parents. I know that some of these other transition to adulthood planning sessions have had other speakers as well. And this is the final page. I won't read all of it. I know my time is getting short, but keep in mind that, you know, parenting really is like skateboarding because it does require a good sense of balance. So I'll let you kind of take a look at that and understanding it's a balancing act between holding on and letting go, which, you know, I'm a parent too. And it's hard. That's still kind of a struggle, right? Because we love our kids so much and we do want to see them succeed. And anyway, that being said, let me show you one more thing. And I do want to, I have this up just to show you. I know that the school district is going to show you this too, but this is what their Padlet looks like. And again, so many great resources. There was deferment, your diploma options, grad requirements, your agencies, 401 and transition. So just know this is another great resource for you. But going back to our website to get in touch with me, you can go to resources by location. And my contact information is right there. I'm Lisa Friedman Chavez. That is my email address. And feel free to reach out to me if there's anything I can do to help. For those who are on live, I'm going to put my information also in the chat box. And again, know that you have an amazing team within, you know, Broward County, their transition team and the district to support you all in this transition from school to adulthood. And thank you so much for joining me today. And hopefully this was helpful. Take care. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you so much, Lisa. You are just a wealth of information, and that was amazing. I never get tired of hearing about all the fabulous resources and all the amazing things you do. I really do appreciate your time. I want to take a quick second before we go into our Q&A to introduce Brandon Dietrich, our middle school supervisor. He's taken the time to just pop on to say hello this evening, so I just wanted to give him a minute to be able to do so. Hi, Brandon.
Hi, Stacy. Great, amazing job. You are second to none with, you know, whenever you go through and do this information. And so you have so much knowledge that every time I listen, I learn something new. And I've been doing this for like a long time. So, so I really do appreciate that. So, families, nice. Well, thanks, Stace. And families, happy to say hello. Stacy's correct. I'm the middle school supervisor for that and ASD programming. Just kind of I understand the transition to middle school is, so I have 3 children and they've all had the transition to middle school. And every time it's a challenge because you go from what you feel is a certain stabilized environment to something that you hear all the time is, well, middle school. And I do want to kind of let you know that I promise you, it sounds worse than it is. The kids do fantastic. You know, probably the best advice I got when I first started teaching, because I started in a middle school. I'm a middle school teacher by trade, and then I've had different experiences throughout different districts. I was from Palm Beach. I'm now in Broward. But my first principal said, you know, middle school kids are just clumsy. And it kind of stuck with me because they are, and we need to take an opportunity to support them. And I love how Lisa was talking about it. And I know Stacy always talks about it because she's so passionate that really we want to include our kids. And what do they want to do when they grow up? We do it for every other kid in the world. And somehow our kids with disabilities, we forget to ask that question. and they have dreams, they have goals, they have different things that they want to do. And you know what? They may not be able to, I don't know, play professional baseball, but they can do something with baseball. So for some of us, we live close to Mywens Park. Mywens Park employs hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people. That might be an opportunity. There's a lot of opportunities out there for kids that sometimes we close off because we think they can't do it. But to Lisa's presentation, you know, she hit the nail on the head that our kids will a lot of times perform higher if our expectation is higher. If it's lower, then they may perform lower. So, you know, I won't hijack the meeting, but what I do want to say is, you know, for all of us out here who have children going to middle school, again, I know what it's like. I have a child with, I have 3 children again, and one is as disabled as they get. And I say that because I understand the scariness, but I also understand the scariness of a typical child, a gifted child, whoever it is going into middle school, and it's always scary. You guys are more than welcome clearly to reach out to Stacy because she's amazing. And you can also reach out to me. If you go to Broward County Schools and just, if you go to the autism page, my information's on there because I oversee autism. So you'll find my name and information on the autism page. Shoot me an email. A lot of times I may call from my cell phone number, 561 area code. Don't be alarmed. And you know, we can have a conversation because I understand that, you know, sometimes we're a little bit concerned about them going to middle school, but it's going to be okay. It does take some planning, and it does, you know, I see it takes a village, and it does take a village. It takes all of us kind of working together because all our kids have unique needs, and there's not, you know, as long as I've been doing this and I taught thousands of kids and had the opportunity to do, you know, to work with some great kids. And I got to be honest to this, you know, I don't know that I've ever met 2 the same and, you know, identical. And there's nuances, there's differences, and we want to work together to make sure that everyone's successful. So I don't want to take too much more time, but Stacey, thanks for the introduction. And it was a great presentation. So much information. It was great. And Lisa's always so good. You know, I listen and learn and listen and learn. So right back at you, Lisa. Great. Love you. You did great. And
Thank you, Brandon. I
you're
appreciate you
welcome.
coming on, and it's always great to put a face to a name, and I know families really appreciate it. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And yes, it does take a village. We have to all work together, and it's never too early to talk to kids about, you know, all the amazing opportunities that are out there and all the different jobs and really exposing them to different career pathways. The world is changing and jobs look different. And we have to expose our kids to these opportunities and what their options are earlier in life so that they can explore and they can discover all the things that they're good at and all the things that they're interested in. So thank you guys for taking the time this evening. I know we went a little bit over. This concludes the content area of our presentation. So now is the opportunity for parents to either ask questions in the chat or they can raise their hand and turn their cameras and mics on and ask us questions. We're here for you. Our presenters are here for you. So if you have any questions about the content and information that was presented this evening, we're more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. I will also put up on the screen the Padlet so that you can have access to that. So any families that have any questions, we're here for you. So feel free to please raise your hand. And if you're a little shy, you can ask the questions in the chat. And Natasha will stop